Yo, what is going on, guys? SCJ here, back with another video, and today we're going to talk about another NBA restart related topic and the first 2020 NBA playoffs related topic, and that is something I've been seeing many people talk about, which is the Portland Trail Blazers getting the first round upset over the first seeded Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference. So if you aren't aware, the Blazers were super locked in during their final 8 regular season games and their play-in game in the NBA bubble. The team went 7-2 in their 9 games that they've played so far in the NBA bubble, and a big reason for that was just how locked in Damian Lillard was. In the Blazers' 9 games before the playoffs, Lillard averaged an incredible 37.6 points on nearly 50% field goal percentage, coming in at 49.7%. Dame also averaged 4.3 rebounds, 9.6 assists, and a very good 1.4 steals to go along with his superb shooting and scoring as well. This won him the Bubble MVP, or Seeding Games MVP, as it was revealed before the Portland-Memphis playing game on Saturday, and he very well deserved this award. I understand TJ Warren came out of nowhere and put up crazy good numbers, but he wasn't nearly as good as Dame was during those seeding games. Now, turning over to the team that the Blazers will face in the first round, let's look at the first-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers have seemed to struggle in the bubble so far, going 3-5 during their 8 games played. The Lakers have also lost starting point guard Avery Bradley after he decided to opt out of playing in the Orlando bubble, and combining those things together and also including how well Dame and the entire Blazers roster in general has played, many people are starting to think we might have the 6th 1-8 upset in NBA history on our hands. When looking at how both teams have played before versus inside the NBA bubble, the Blazers came into the bubble with a similar offensive rating to the Lakers, but they ranked 10th in the league in terms of offensive rating versus the Lakers, who ranked 4th in the league behind the Clippers, Rockets, and Mavericks. Now inside the NBA bubble, the Blazers are leading the league by a pretty sizable margin with a 122.5 offensive rating, while the Lakers come in with a substantially lower rating of 104.5, and the only team in the bubble they came in better than are the Washington Wizards, who did so bad that there was a point that the Hornets jumped them in the Eastern Conference standings, despite not even being one of the 22 teams invited to Orlando. So if you're a Laker fan or you already have your money bet on the Lakers to win the series, those numbers are for sure going to scare you, and I'm sure many people, Lakers fans or not, are starting to get nervous about this first round matchup. However, while the stats and numbers are very alarming in terms of the Lakers' chances, and I'm not a Laker fan, I still do see the Lakers coming out of their first round series on top. Why do I feel this way? Well, simply put, that's because of LeBron and AD. I'm sure you're probably saying, well, the Lakers had both of those guys for all but one game where LeBron sat out against the Rockets. So how can you think that when both of these guys played essentially every game together and they still went 3-5? Well, I personally think it's a mix of things, and one of those things being is LeBron and AD aren't the ones to blame for the Lakers losing 5 of their 8 games played. LeBron averaged a solid 22 points on the dot, along with 7.4 rebounds, 6.9 assists, 0.6 steals, and 0.9 blocks. And AD averaged 21.6 points, 8.6 rebounds, exactly 4 assists, and both 1.3 blocks and steals. While AD played almost the same exact amount of minutes, going from 34.4 before the bubble to 34.6 after the bubble, LeBron averaged a decent amount less playing time, going from nearly 35 minutes at 34.9 to 31.7 minutes per game in the bubble. While many of you may not view that as a big decrease, playing 3 to 4 less minutes a game can actually be a big help for a 35-year-old player in their 17th season like LeBron, especially when that 35-year-old is the Lakers' current best player. Another thing is that after the Lakers win over the Utah Jazz on August 3rd, which was only their second game played in Orlando on the NBA campus, the rest of the games didn't really matter anymore, as the Lakers officially clinched the first seed in the West and their playoff position was already locked in. This is huge because if LeBron, AD, and the Lakers know that wins and losses technically don't hurt or help them anymore, LeBron and AD can just play to stay in game shape and tune in and keep themselves locked in for the playoffs, and I guess you could say not even try, while they let the rest of the team build chemistry and get locked in, especially when guys like J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters are playing their first games as members of the Lakers while inside the NBA bubble. And finally, one other thing that we know is that when big games come on, LeBron turns on the Jets and gets himself going. While he apparently won't be going into zero dark 30-23 mode this year, where he stays off of all social media during the playoffs, I don't think that will really matter, especially with him and the entire NBA being in a completely different environment where every player spends pretty much all of their time isolated when not on the court. Also, another thing to remember is that the Lakers will come into the first playoff game against the Blazers on Tuesday with 5 days rest versus the Blazers, who will only have 2 days of rest. When the Lakers' best player is 35 years old, like I mentioned before, I think that can only help the Lakers out. So will the Trailblazers make history and become the 6th team to pull off a first-round upset against the first-seeded team? Simply, in my opinion, I'd have to say no. While the Blazers are, in my opinion, the hottest or most locked-in team remaining in the NBA bubble with the Suns now eliminated, I still don't think they will beat the Lakers, especially after coming off a kind of mad performance versus the Grizzlies on Saturday that had many positive and negative things for the team, including Dame being off in the fourth quarter, which is obviously very unusual for him. This series for sure is going to be entertaining as hell, especially if we see Dame quote-unquote flipping his switch and upping his game like he did during the Blazers' last 8 games. This may very well be the best first-round series we see in the 2020 playoffs, and I'd probably expect this series to go 6 or 7 games with the Lakers coming out on top. I want to know what you guys think, though. Will the Blazers pull off the historic upset, or will it be business as usual for LeBron in the first round of the playoffs? Let me know down in the comment section below. And with that, that's going to be it for me today. If you like this video, then give it a like. If you want to see more NBA content or breakdowns, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I'm SCJ, and I am out. Peace.